Let yourself win. Because right now you aren't. You are your greatest opponent, period. Whoa, the brain responds. Who is this YouTube podcast guy to tell me that? Doesn't know a damn thing about me or what I've been through. Beat it, dude. Or, as they say in Boston, get out of here, bud. I'm all set. There is no teacher like life, like experience. And one of the things that I've learned, unfortunately, over and over again, is that when we quiet the noise, we know what to do. Most likely not step by step, but we know where that compass should point. We know it in our hearts, we know it in our souls. It's the classic comfort zone hesitation, right? Leaving the world we once knew to become something altogether different. Well, it's not an easy task, but it is what's required of us. To refuse is human, tightly woven into our DNA. It comes through in our most beloved mythology. It's as much a part of life as the air that we breathe. But that moment of hesitation can be an end or a beginning. That's what makes you the writer of this story. Last month, I found myself on a plane going back and forth to the East Coast a handful of times. And I had this sudden urge to watch the original Star Wars movies, the ones that truly shaped my childhood, had all the action figures, the lightsaber toys, all that stuff. It was fun. It was fun kind of going down memory lane. And as I'm on the plane watching them, my brain wandered to Joseph Campbell's famous idea of the hero's journey, because it's so often linked to the story of Star Wars, right? Where, Luke Skywalker initially refuses to go on this quest, we'll call it, to take on the Empire with his guide, Ben. In his mind, he has to stay on his home planet until the harvest. He has plans and initially refuses the call. Not too different from another epic tale, Lord of the Rings, where the main character Frodo, when he's informed about the quest before him, he originally hesitates. He knows what must be done, but trembles at the idea of accepting the call, and perhaps he's justified in doing so, right? That's a big journey with a lot at stake. But eventually, life circumstances push both of these characters to the point where the new path becomes more and more likely. For different reasons, of course. But for both Luke and Frodo, the danger is external. The disruption is external. The catalyst is external. But the acceptance is voluntary. And in myth, that's the only part that matters. Right? Joseph Campbell's clear. The refusal or acceptance of the call is always the hero's own decision. It is their choice whether to step off the ledge and into a new world entirely, or to remain where they are. The event is never the transformation, the choice is. Life changes when you decide to go. Now, you and me, we aren't fighting an evil empire or throwing a magic ring into a volcano. Our battles are far less grandiose, but they're not less important. The other day, I was going about my usual day, doing usual things, working, writing. My friend Eric came by, we got into our usual lifting routine. And before we started, we like to make a little intention for every workout, to kind of reinforce that what we're doing is much more than about weights. It's life, right? And that particular morning, it was fear. And we played a song, sat there, listened to it. It was about doing the thing that you've been called to do. And the song finishes, and I said, dude, you know what makes me nervous? A thing I know is separating the present from an unfathomable future. It's to take the guard down. It's to be more raw. To go live. And I've been saying this for years, and in my mind I've been tiptoeing, but not at the rate I know I need to go. Everyone's got their personal battles. Like, that's just been mine. I'm a private person, and my heart is in writing these episodes, but it's so safe. Right? Writing the script, speaking the script. And he looks at me, and no joke, he goes, "Brother, that's mine too." Okay, check this out. So Eric, he's coached some of the most successful athletes on earth. And that's not to hype him up, it's just true. I won't name drop, but household names. Pro endurance athletes, world record holders, professional MMA fighters, special forces, the list goes on and on and on. And in my world, right, I mean, come on, I speak for a living on stages all over the world. I've coached executives on speaking and storytelling. I've helped some incredible people tell their stories. But this, man, it just hits different. There's no buffer zone. There's no room for error. And we looked at each other and we were both like, we have to live stream this workout, don't we? Yeah. And we did, and it was amazing. And we're going to do more of it. And personally, I'm going to do more live stuff because I have to. I know in my gut it is where the compass must point. And that conversation before that workout will be forever etched in my brain as the moment we said yes to the call. Now, this is a micro example, but I think what you'll find is most examples are this. They are micro. It's not always going to be stormtroopers showing up and lighting your house on fire to push you out into the galaxy. Or a wizard guy showing up and bullying you. No, it's the little yeses when your heart races. It's stepping onto that metaphorical stage with shaky hands. That decision turns into the next, and the next, and the next. Life may give you the moment, but you decide if that moment becomes your turning point. That's the bridge. Again, Frodo could have asked someone else to carry the ring and hid. Luke Skywalker could have stayed on his home planet of Tatooine and mourned. But they didn't. Instead, they proved that the world disrupts you, circumstances change you, but you decide whether that disruption becomes a destiny or a dead end. There's a reason mythology is so important. There's a piece of it we know to be true. So when I tell you at the beginning of this episode, you are in your own way, what I mean is, you know what's calling, and at this very moment, you're refusing for one reason or another to answer. Not because you can't, but because you won't. At least not until now. So give yourself the greatest gift you can possibly give. Permission to go directly towards that place that scares you most. Set your compass towards the heart of darkness. And choose to be the light. What's up, guys? Eddie here. And before we jump into the next chapter, just a quick note. So, as many of you know, every single video that I've ever put on this channel has been created with the intent of building momentum in your life. If you want something physical to anchor that momentum, we've created the brand AGNS, or Always Grateful, Never Satisfied, for that exact reason. It's athletic apparel that embodies the very ideas and concepts I talk about every day. Because you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, we've created a code for this exclusive community, YWW20. You can use that on the website, agns.lifestyle, or right under this video on YouTube. All the stuff is there in the shop. Again, code YWW20 gets you 20% off the entire store. It's a great way to support the channel and also elevate your journey. Let it be a reminder to keep showing up. Appreciate your time. Always grateful, never satisfied. On to the next. Be loved or be hated, but never simply tolerated. In life, you can live to chase opportunity, or you can live to avoid failure. And there are two very different things. Rather than pursue, we often avoid. We avoid failure. We avoid criticism. We don't want to ruffle feathers or disrupt. No, we choose to simply exist. Never condemned, but never extraordinary. Just tolerated. And it's an interesting dilemma. Because the best things exist on the extremes, life's fringes. That's where you find your accolades, your accomplishments. That's what we celebrate. It's where you need to be. And you get there not by worrying about what everyone around you thinks, but by taking your strength, your unique self, holding on and pressing the pedal to the floor, going all in. And yeah, that means suddenly, my friend, you are exposed. You are vulnerable. You are now out there. It means those who don't have the courage to chase their dreams, they will find you threatening and they will let you know. But it also means that the shackles are off. The door is open, the light is green, and you can build from the ground up. You can build the life you want. The finish line has now become more visible than the prospect of falling along the way, and you've granted yourself permission to run through it. Sure, some will love you for these accomplishments, some will hate you for these accomplishments, but let me reiterate the word accomplishment. Because when you live to be invisible, it's a term that rarely presents itself, I promise. Life, it rewards the bold. Those who are bold in their beliefs, bold in their actions, their dreams, and their pursuits. They are not for anyone but you. And years later, when you look in the mirror, you'll know that you gave every single thing you had to a life that meant something to you. Loved, yes. Hated, sure. But merely tolerated, no. The little E on the car dashboard reminds me that I'm pointed east. As I sit at the red light, perpendicular to Ocean Ave, staring out at the water, this is it. This is as far as I can go. There are no more streets or towns or cities. There can't be any more stops along the way, just miles and miles of ocean. And it's interesting for me to think about all the changes I've made up to now, growing up outside of Los Angeles on the opposite coast, relocating again and again, sometimes very targeted, methodical moves, sometimes just for the sake of change, but always moving, always going. There's a saying that wherever you go, you take yourself with you. Right? You can change the scenario, the circumstances, the surroundings, but ultimately, you can never outrun yourself. You are accompanying you on whatever journey awaits. And it's often not until you run out of real estate, until there's no more road or options, that you're forced to look in the mirror and acknowledge that it is you who must change. It's you who must evolve and become that person that you need you to become. And that can be a scary thing. After all, anyone can get in a car and head east. Anyone can point the compass away from the chaos of now, move away from their demons. But how many of us can find the strength to look those demons in the eye? How many of us can make ourselves bigger than what attempts to weigh us down? All of us can, but how many of us do? Are we running to something or from something? Because there is a difference, and that difference is not small. One of my favorite speakers, Jim Rohn, when referencing our journeys through life, our push to make more of ourselves, he essentially said, it's not what you get at the other end. It's who you become along the way. And I think, like everyone, I've forgotten that from time to time over the years, forgotten that value is not simply in going, but in becoming, in the courageous little steps that accumulate over time. Forgotten that the external world might inspire or excite, that change might invigorate the soul, that the road untraveled might remind me of life's beauty, but these externalities are only as valuable as you allow them to be. They're only opportunities if you decide them to be so. Change inspires, but will you let it inspire you to do that thing you know you need to do, but are terrified of doing? And that road, it might remind you of life's beauty. But will you let that reminder be your invitation to share your own beauty with the world, whatever that means for you? Can you be that vulnerable? Can you take that leap in the story of your becoming? See, it is incredibly easy to look out at the world and pinpoint its flaws. All those little problems and imperfections, they tend to jump out at us. But can you identify what you, yourself, need? Can you be courageous enough to ask those questions of yourself? What matters to me? What does a meaningful life look like to me? Where am I falling short? That is a conversation that needs to be had. And it needs to be had often. Otherwise, we will drive and drive and drive until we hit water and are forced to ask that question. Because it's interesting that when we don't pause and make the changes that need to be made, life has a way of ensuring that we do. But when it's mandated by life, it tends to be a lot messier, a lot more chaotic. At least than when we make the decision ourselves. But either way, we cannot run forever. Either way, we must step into a new pair of shoes and learn to walk confidently with them into the night. There are plenty of little mantras floating around out there, little pieces of advice, and perhaps it's best for us to weigh them each individually, see what meets our needs and fits our criteria. After all, life is not one size fits all. But one of my favorite among these is to do one single thing that scares you every day, and I'll tell you why. Because when we become conditioned to turning our backs on all the uncomfortable things in life, we cripple our prospects of a better tomorrow. It's synonymous with the seed refusing water, saying no to the very thing it needs most. And what should be noted here, one of the reasons it's so dangerous is that saying no is incredibly subtle. It's not some big event or explosion. There's no fireworks show that occurs every time you walk away from what you need. No, it goes unnoticed. And again, one of the greatest challenges is quantifying that which we don't do. How do you measure that thing you walked away from? Well, unfortunately, you can't. You can't, at least until you're staring out at the Atlantic with nowhere to run, no more escaping on the agenda. You don't know until you're forced to pick the pieces up and make something of them. And I say this so that hopefully it can ignite that spark in your soul that you need most, whether you previously recognized it or not. I say this to remind you how much bigger you are than your problems, how you have the ability to transform all that exists around you when you transform yourself. There's a certain inevitability associated with how we see ourselves. And I believe this to be true at both the personal and the societal levels. Anyone can look in the mirror and see the past, where they've gone wrong, how inadequate and ill-prepared they are. But the courage to look in the mirror and see strength, to both identify and understand one's shortcomings, but know that you have the power to do something about it. To know that the times you fell or didn't make the cut, they don't indicate that the endeavor was all for naught or unequivocally wrong. No, there is so much good tied into your pursuit. So much beauty and courage ingrained in your soul. But imagine a life where you no longer run from the gaps, but close them. Imagine finding it in yourself to begin that hero's journey. And where you used to run to protect yourself, now you take the offensive to grow yourself. Where you used to avoid the possibility of failure, now you chase the possibility of victory. You can have that if you want to. You can be that if you choose to. And sure, you may never be able to outrun yourself, but you can always adapt yourself to be that person you always needed you to be. Sometimes we just need the reminder that we are strong enough. We do have what it takes. And that the thing that hurts us most in the short term not only saves us pain in the long term, but it becomes what we live for. It is where we find our meaning. And so perhaps this ocean before me is not there to remind me of my constraints, that I have no road left, but a reminder of just how often we measure using the wrong metrics. Perhaps I needed to see again that it's not where I end up, but who I become along the way. That when the internal self steps into the shoes it's been too intimidated to wear, that when the world within becomes the beacon you need it to be, the roads and the stops along the way, they matter a little bit less than the eyes that process it all, that decide what it means, how it will be utilized in the game of life. And so, yes, the little E on the car dashboard, it says that I'm pointed east. But as I sit at this red light, perpendicular to Ocean Ave, staring out at the water, I know this is only the beginning. You're right where you need to be. Sure, you have your doubts. Perhaps you feel tired, alone, fearful. Maybe you're trying to make sense of a world that feels too complex, where all you see and hear are reasons to turn back, to find shelter, to run. Don't. Regardless of how hard it seems, don't. You are right where you need to be. Turning thoughts to things, making life from dreams. What makes change so interesting, so powerful yet deceptive, is that it comes to us in small doses. Not a tidal wave of transformation, but a slow, steady, rising tide of progress. No one feels the tug of erosion, yet it chips away. And so do you. Removing piece by piece the old you, the world you're moving away from, and piece by piece, you unveil the promise of your becoming. You may not see the whole picture. You may not understand the whole story, but right now, in real time, it's being told. And you are right where you need to be. We just weren't equipped to understand what that looks like. It's never been what you see that makes you uneasy. It's what's missing. That's what hurts. The solutions you wanted, the changes you expected, the finish lines you envisioned. It's the wondering, how long must I wait? Did I make a wrong turn? Is the joke on me? But it's this line of questioning that causes so many to stop, unaware of how close they were, ignorant to the foundation they were standing on. What you need is not a miracle. It's to simply carry on, to keep laying those bricks, because not a one is wasted. And sometimes you don't realize you're on the 80th floor until you look down. That climb can be frustrating, exhausting. It isn't always glamorous, but it's necessary. And strength comes from understanding that truth. You are right where you need to be. The world, it can't take what you refuse to give it, and self-belief is non-negotiable. It's off the table, your most prized possession. So hold it tight, because it'll be needed when the journey feels long and the road impossible. You'll know that you can always take one step forward, and that is the essence of life, of growth, of progress. Think about the steps, the lessons, the self-discovery that led you to this intersection of now and forever. This beginning of whatever you decide comes next. You are right where you need to be, because you are armed with the decisions that brought you to today and the courage to let them carry you into tomorrow. You could be anywhere, but you're here. And as you strap up and settle in, you'll see that right here is everything you need. Sometimes we have to hear no 99 times before we can get to our yes. Sometimes we have to repeatedly fall before we can stand our ground. But here's the beauty in all that. It doesn't matter how many times you fall or how many no's you get. It only takes one yes for things to change, to turn around. You only need that one door to open for you.
It's very easy to get caught up in the negative, the locked doors, and the rejections, but they are not the problem. They're part of the process. They're what we have to go through to get to our destination. And one of the greatest things you can do for yourself and your goals is to depersonalize these locked doors. They're not the world working against you. They are the world working for you, bringing you one step closer to the path that you need to take. Don't stop at door 1 or 2 or 50. Stop when you've gotten the answer you're seeking.